episode number 115 of Back in the Closet with the Two Crazy Cat Ladies.
I want to know how you knew it was. We were in the middle of conversation. We got sucked in while the countdown was going.
And then all of a sudden it like shuts
How
off.
did you know it was 115?
I thought about it prior. Well, I was like,
wow.
it's 115.
Well
yeah,
done.
yeah.
Hi, guys.
It's a forward
Hi,
thinking.
Tina.
I'm a little bit of a forward thinker, as we'll discuss a little bit.
Yes, we
too.
will.
But welcome, guys. Today's episode is going to be, just the two of us chit-chatting.
Chit-chatting away.
We've had some great conversations over the past week between the two of us, and we want to kind of bring the conversations to you guys so we can I don't know, because we love you and we
we like to share everything about our lives with you. Hi Trish. Hi
Hey,
Dana.
Trish.
Chrissy.
Oh my goodness,
you guys, this is
everybody's
so much
joining.
fun. Right. So let's dive right in.
Yeah. So last episode, the last episode that we did with just the two of us, we can make it if we try, just the two of us, you and I. We were talking about this strengths assessment that we took. It's Gallup strengths assessment. I hope a lot of you guys went and took it as well online, because it's just it's an eye-opening kind of
Strengths assessment by Gallup.
Yes.
And
Clifton Strengths.
Clifton Strengths.
Clifton
Thank you.
Strengths,
I was like,
yes.
I'm forgetting something.
Yeah, Clifton Strengths Assessment by Gallup, Gallup. No, they're not a sponsor. No, they don't know who the hell we are. But it was really cool. So we
learned a lot about each other that we realized was helpful to actually have articulated by a third party.
Yes, yeah, actually, because it wasn't that we learned a lot about each other necessarily. It was just kind of like what's the word, reestablished, or
we were able to better reassess how we, not just relationally, but certainly as it pertains to running a business. Look at, can you guys see Friday?
Oh my goodness, baby girl.
How we've always known that we're very yin yang.
Yeah.
Always known that for the past 20 years. We've known that. But when it comes to business and how to best use our God-given gifts towards a purpose, the Clifton Strengths Test was great because it did articulate a lot of stuff that we already knew, but in a way and in a language that helped us better appreciate and respect each other in
for
business.
Those differences.
Yeah, for those differences and on that business realm.
Yeah. So what had happened was we were having a phone conversation with one of our resident veterinarian, as I like to call her, Dr. Katie Woodley, the natural pet doctor. We were having a conversation with her one night. We were just telling her about this strengths assessment test and what we were learning. She was like, "Oh my God, you have to get this book. It's called Rocket Fuel." And I'll show it to you.
Rocket Fuel.
So Adrian immediately went and
we hadn't even gotten off the phone. I was like,
right. She just went to Amazon and purchased it. Next day it shows up. And I'm like, "Did you buy her? Did she send it to us?" She's like, "No, I went ahead and got it." So so we started reading and she was, and it says, or before we started reading it, we were looking at how it's talking about the combination that makes businesses really take off or succeed or thrive. And it's talking about how it's a pair. It's always a two. It's always two.
And we're like, how convenient.
We're like, how cool. And it's talking about the two. Everybody has different titles, right? In companies, a lot of people in my last company, it was all about oh, you get this title and you get this title, and everybody is really big into titles. But they're talking about the visionary and the integrator. And so from our strengths assessment, if you guys didn't see that, what Adrian learned from, or what the results showed from her strengths assessment, is that she is a thinker. She is someone
I'm a learner. I'm a thinker.
She loves to learn.
I love to think about learning and learn about thinking.
that she loves to learn and think. And mine was you like to get her done, right?
She likes to execute.
I like to do. So I was like, okay, cool. Do.
Which is different than do.
It is different than, yeah.
I think so. It's a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
Do is different than do.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, okay. So this book's going to talk about how, you're the visionary and I'm the integrator. And that's going to be really exciting. Right. because we're going to maybe, you know, just learn some new things. I don't know. When you get a recommendation from someone that you love and trust, and another entrepreneur too, right? Like somebody that you, sorry, oh,
Daisies.
there she is. Somebody that you really love, you or that you respect, I guess you say,
Yeah.
then you know that it's going to be a good book, right? Well, we start to read this, and I started reading it first, and I was like,
Uh-oh.
I'm not the integrator?
No.
And it turns out, guys, that it's like the complete opposite, that I'm the visionary and she's the integrator, which goes back to the, like, when going back to the strengths assessment, it's like, how does that even make sense? Because the strengths assessment isn't wrong. It's 100% right.
I like to think about learning and thinking.
But when we're putting ourselves, it's just interesting how integral like everything is. Like when we're talking about, there's no one size fits all, like we were just talking about on.
What I love here, let me back it up just a second, because this is the recommendation from Dr. Katie Woodley. I love that she knows us well enough to know, like, hey, this is going to be a good book for her. One of the things that I love, good book for us. One of the things that I love about her is her mastery of language. One of the things that I really, really appreciate is how she can take very complex, overwhelming, confusing topics, specifically as they pertain to the health of our pets, our cats, right? And she can make it very digestible and understandable, give us like the baby steps that we need to do to kind of really start working on making a change. This right here is also all about language. Like it is fascinating to me how I don't think that either one of us would ever use words like visionary or integrator
No.
casually in a conversation. You know,
I wouldn't even know what that is. I wouldn't even
But-
know what that is. No, to be honest, I had no idea really what that. I mean,
But
I guess
when
you
they-
kind of think of it
when they break
but-
it down, not only are those absolutely the correct terms used, but they define them in ways that make it so much easier to understand why you are the way you are, why I am the way I am, and why this is working.
Yes,
And will
what
work
right.
so much better.
Yes, and what steps we need to take in order for us to better settle into those roles in our company so that we can divide and conquer, so that we can
Yes.
actually move to the next level, reach
Grow.
the goals, set the goals, like really, really grow to, you know, make the biggest difference that we possibly can, which is our ultimate goal,
my God.
right?
Well, that's the
And they said, talking about titles, they did say, they were like, you know, one of them is usually called like CEO or president, and one of them is called COO or vice president. And it's like, and they encourage you not to use those terms because the titles do kind of like give other people, if you have to, he did say, if you have to use it in your emails or something to define whatever, fine.
because
but
outside society needs like certain definitions attached to your name to understand if you're qualified to say
right.
right.
Right. But like in terms of you running your business, they encourage you to use the titles of visionary, or the ideas of visionary and integrator versus COO, CEO, things like that.
And what I love about this is that whether it's Clifton Strengths Test or this book, Rocket Fuel, I love how much it illuminates the depth of business development, that it's not just as we naively thought 7-8 years ago, that if we're going to start a business, we put together a business plan and go, right? It is an ever evolving, multi-dynamic situation that is always requiring learning and always growing. Like there is no, A then B, or I don't know what I'm trying to say. There's no stagnation. It's not like this is done, now we do this.
Don't fall for the buy-in. Like you know, there's a lot of coaches out there, and I think they're fantastic. There's a lot of coaches out there that we've listened to, that we've, for their free stuff, but don't fall into those like paid, I'm going to start a business. And so if I pay, somebody to teach me how to do all the stuff and things, there's 5 steps to starting and building any business, right? Like, or 7 steps or 12 steps or whatever they have. It's different.
So much more complex.
It's so much more complex depending on where you're at, what business you're in, right? Like, it's not so the same for any 2 businesses. It's never the same.
Correct. And I think it's very dependent on, in this book, like they talk about the visionary. Where is that vision coming from? And I just want to take it back for a minute. I'm going to get real personal for just a second. Some of y'all may not know that years ago when I first met Jay and she was walking to work at the 4-star hotel in Knoxville, Tennessee, she told me, she said, you know what, when I grow up, I'm going to be a businesswoman. And I was like, you don't even know how to use an ATM card. No idea. But she always knew that she was made to do something bigger, that was helpful, that had a bigger ripple effect than, helping someone at the front desk or whatever. I, however, was quite satisfied driving my 30 minutes to Maryville, Tennessee, where I worked in a metal shop. And that was my clock in, clock out. We were always very different people. Understanding that having it defined, all the little differences to your yin and yang, whatever, I don't know who's yin or yang, that it really is this visionary instinct that you have. And when we started this business, many of you guys do know, when we started this business, we were all in. We had a really hard learning curve jumping into a business together. I had a lot of, wasn't sure how this was going to work. You had obviously been working in business at higher business levels for a while, but we quickly realized that I was going to have to work a full-time job to help build the dream. Little did we know at that point, what we identified was the fact that you were the one with the vision. You were the one with the ability to start implementing the vision. And I was the one that was doing the background work to keep things moving.
Isn't that interesting?
From the very beginning.
That's so interesting. Well, and I'd like to go back to like, so many of our VIPs are here joining us as they often do here on Facebook and YouTube while we're recording this podcast. And many of them were like right there with me when I'm like, guys, I don't know. I think we should, I think we're going to launch a new product. I want to launch a new product and I need your help. I need your input. I'm not quite sure what to do about this. And we don't know where we're going, like we're trying really hard. And what we want to do is change the world. We want to help save every cat. And we want to, we want to make every cat live the longest life possible. And that's our goal. And we don't know what we're doing or where we're going. And now you're watching, and they are actually getting to watch us through the process of like learning new things, getting bigger dreams, getting bigger goals. It's expanding the team, building a real business that's not just like most of these businesses are. It's like, oh, I like to do that, so I'm gonna make some money, and it basically just stays a hobby versus like a dream and not necessarily a dream, but a goal of growing into what we call an empire, which is what we're building. We say it all the time, just in jest. We'll just be like, well, that's what happens when you're building an empire. Like, we don't even know what that means either. But I feel like all of these little things, like the assessments, the book, like, and so many things along the way that we have, the other book that we talked about in another podcast, that Gary Vee's 12 and a half. And it, like, all of these little things are giving us more and more permission, and to take our dreams, our goals, our business to the next level, and really build more than just a, like casual hobby, make a living, staying at home kind of thing.
Well, but that was never your dream to begin with. I think that's the fascinating thing, though. Like in Rocket Fuel, they talk about putting together, articulating a 3-year plan and then a 10-year plan. Like, you might be able to get me to think about a 3-year plan, but you cannot get me to think about a 10-year plan. Like, it is not in my DNA to think about that kind of change in a realistic way at all.
And for me, I've thought about a 10-year plan for a long time. I just didn't put it at 10 years. I just knew that it was down the road. but I didn't put it at like I didn't timestamp it.
Yeah.
I just knew that like this is gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen down the road, but I didn't put it at that. And we've yet to actually write down these plans, which is gonna happen this weekend.
Yeah.
We've yet to like actually
Sunday, hopefully.
bullet point everything out, write things down, but we're actually creating structure that we have not had yet in our business. We've kind of been flying by the brim of your hat.
It's the seat of your pants.
Or the seat of your pants. It still doesn't make sense.
She's like, but hats are so much more aerodynamic.
Right.
What I love about this, though, whether it's 12 and a half, whether it's the Clifton Strengths test, whether it's rocket fuel, what I love is that for me, from my perspective of thinking and learning about thinking, whatever it is, it's being able to optimize our mission and purpose, that kind of etherical thing out there.
Etherical?
Like the ether, the etherical thing. Like
etherical. Is etherical a word?
Survey says.
Probably.
It's looking at being able to achieve that by sinking into our best selves.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about trying to create something that is difficult and hard to navigate. It's literally about better understanding ourselves and our intrinsic gifts, right? And how to best utilize that towards a shared goal. For us, for a whole team, it's wonderful to have a shared goal. And what a better shared goal to have than to help the lives of cats.
Right.
But getting into the mechanics of how this works, like what about the website? What about this? What about that plugin? What about this program? What about that? All the itsy bitsy pieces that go into building something sustainable and with purpose is.
What about a new product? What about a new something that can
always
help
growing
this new, this other realm of cats or cat health? Like what, like there's so many little things that go into, and they're big things. And what's very interesting to me, I think I told you this last night. Is that this book has given me permission to not stress about not stressing type of thing. Like my stress is, we talk about it all the time. My stress is always right here. And I have.
For those of you on the podcast, know that that's at the top of her head.
Yes. And my
up to her eyeballs.
Yeah. I'm always like up to my eyeballs, with worrying about like what needs to get done. This needs to get done. This needs to get done. This needs to get done. And of course, like bringing the team in and taking a lot of the stuff off of our plates and then distributing some of the stuff that, I was doing, now Adrian's doing, things like that. Like this has all been, whoa, ZB, he's about to break something.
This is just a little camp table.
He's got to have all the attention.
Come here.
But Zorro, my love, but it's given me permission to relax and use my brain more. Basically, like instead of stressing about things, think about the bigger picture. Like let the little stuff go and focus on the bigger picture. And this is, I mean, it's a
bit of a game changer. I know we are literally a few pages away from the end of the book. So we haven't even.
We finished the book, but then there's a bonus chapter, which I think is like the key
which means we haven't finished the book.
Right.
What are you doing? Why do you want up here so bad?
ZB.
Oh, love bug. Completely forgot what I was talking about now. Huh?
We haven't finished the book yet, but.
No.
Talking about giving us permission to sink into.
Oh, that this is just the beginning. It's think about your anxiety level, just even about little things. Understanding that it's okay for you to actually let go of some stuff, and that it is in fact contributes to my learning process when you do let go, right? Like even in this book, you guys, I love this. Many of you guys know that there you are, my love bug. I only came on full time in the end of June of last year. June 25th was my last day. And in this book, they actually talk about how long it takes for a visionary and an integrator to start getting in sync. And I think, wow, that's really fascinating because first of all, we didn't know we were doing it. But secondly, I feel like, yeah, there is a learning curve for me to better understand what the hell you're doing or saying. Like when you have a vision, we talked about like the 10-year plan. She said something just today about in 20 years when this or that happens, and I'm looking at it as like a to-do list when she's talking about it as like a visionary moment. I'm putting that word with it. It sounds weird, but
almost woo-woo.
But it's something that she's thinking about, right? But I don't have to worry about that because we're not into implementing that right now. But just our communication, how much it really impacts how I understand what it is that you want to get done and what it is that needs to get done. It makes it so much easier for me to understand this whole like past year, not even a year yet since I've been full time, even though I've been plugged in, actually being part of the current is way different. And I think it does such a good job of helping us both understand that it is okay to be this way or that way.
Yeah.
And then it can actually work together in a way that is going to
divide and conquer.
Be rocket fuel.
Be rocket fuel,
It's gonna be
right?
Rocket fuel.
Rocket fuel. Dana said rocket fuel. Yes. Oh, you were answering Madison. Yeah. It's really, I mean, it's I don't know. I just feel like it's a huge game changer. And there's so many things that were already like we took chapter 4 or chapter 5 or whatever it was, and we stopped and we implemented. Like we wrote our accountability chart. We're going to be tweaking that a little bit.
Mhm.
But we have, like certain things, and the 5 rules, like the 5 rules of between the two of us, like we have to stay on the same page, like so many things that without having some kind of direction, it just is a little bit of like chaotic, I guess you'd say. And we just haven't like that, going back to that structure, we just haven't had, and our team hasn't had like, none of us have really had like a definitive structure to what we're doing. It's just been kind of like a plug and play. Here, can you do this? Let's do this. I'll do this.
Well, yeah,
you do that. Let's
it's always like there's basics
Which
that
is
need to
great.
be done. Great, but what are we doing to move forward? And what are the things that we can implement to better bring into fruition our vision?
Yeah.
I think it's so valuable to me because I've never considered myself a business mind at all, but it's so valuable to me to understand that so much of business development is a very interpersonal understanding, and that it's not just, throw up a website and get going. It's not just, oh, I made a Facebook page, let's roll. It's so much more, and it's so much more exciting and in depth and fulfilling when you realize that so much of who we are plays into who every person is as an individual, plays into what they want to accomplish. And yes, finding this kind of visionary integrator
Combo.
matchup, is
It's
really
quite,
exciting.
and it's funny because in the book they say that there are like 5%, according to all of their research, there's about 5% of people in the entrepreneurs that are both visionaries and integrators. But and many people take their companies to the next level. They were talked about like one that brought their company to $20 million in revenue per year, being both the visionary and the integrator. But how at the overwhelming 95%, even if they do, and they said that, most entrepreneurs do start alone and they are the visionary, they have to be the visionary and the integrator. But then you have to figure out how much of visionary work is needed in your specific niche, right? Like how much is needed in your specific market. Or your goals, right? And then how much integrator is actually needed. And those, the roles split. It's not like 100% integrator or 100% visionary, like.
No, but I think it's fascinating. I mean, most everyone here knows that most of our team came on before I was able to come on. But those first 5.5 years before Lindsay, who I kind of consider your first integrator, joined, you, as the only other team member, you were the visionary and the integrator.
Right.
And so you being type A OCD, learning to let go of some of the stuff that you need to be able to let go of so that it can grow is what's so awesome about this book, because it really does articulate it in a way that makes it, there's no right, no right or wrong. It's literally a growth process.
Yeah, but isn't it like effing amazing that like sometimes it just takes a book. Sometimes it just takes like
spell it out, please.
Yeah, like to really, you know, spur you into spur. I don't know even that's a word. Spur you in. Okay, to like understanding.
I don't like spurs for the record though. I think they're mean.
Oh, okay. I don't know what they are, but but I said
a little pointy thing they put on the end of their boots to dig into the horse when they're riding.
Oh,
very mean, but I think that's where the phrase comes from.
Okay. But it's like sometimes you just need something. It's going to be someone. It's going to be something that the universe brings you in some way, shape, or form. For us, it was a book that was recommended to us on a conversation with a friend, right? Like, but sometimes it's just that one person that says just the right thing at the right time when you are ready and willing to accept it. And it just so happens that this book is the right time and the right words and the thing that I needed to be able for me personally to accept it and let go of some stuff and move into a different type of role. Even if it's, even if it's different from what I have been doing for the past 7 years.
It's the mentality though. That's, right. I mean, it's really just a mentality shift. I think that's what's such a big deal, is understanding that everything that you're doing is part of, yes, you do need to be able to let go of stuff, and I need to be able to fill in on stuff. Like there's that whole balance, right? There's stuff that needs to get done all the time, and our team is always getting done what needs to get done every day. But shifting the mentality to understand that it is okay for you, and in fact, helpful.
It's okay. That's the word. Like, right. It's just that in my mind, it wasn't okay to let go of certain things. Like,
or
it felt like
allow yourself to think about.
It's the control freak in me. Yeah. That wasn't allowing me to let go of certain things, because if I don't, I'm afraid that like everything that I've worked so hard for is gonna like come crashing down. And I guess the ego too in me then, right? Like thinking that if I'm not doing it, it's not going to be done right. It's not going to be done best. Like,
can I just say, like, for an example, and this is like where the interpersonal thing comes in. For example, it's like, I'm going to get this blog done. We write 3 blogs every week. Trish writes 1, Jay writes 1, I write 1. And she was having a really busy week. So I said, let me take on your blog. And I'll do 2 blogs this week.
Well, and mind you, she also said, I write so much better than you, which is true. And I agree.
That's paraphrased, but not completely incorrect. And it came to the day that the blog was supposed to be published, and I was not yet done with the blog. And she's like, I'm going to go ahead and write the blog. And I'm like, no, I'm writing the blog. And they're like, no, it's not going to get done if you do it. I'm going to write the blog. Or there have been times it's like, let's pull it out, think about it Thursday. And I'll be like, okay, I have that on my list today. And then she'll come out at the end of the day and be like, I knew you wouldn't have it done. Here it is.
Yeah.
Right? That kind of thing. Like, let go of it. It's going to get done. It may not be done in the same like 5 minutes that you want it done, but learning to let go of it is, and me actually getting bit better about time management can help too. But at least understanding how our dynamic works is really helpful, and realizing that it is okay to let go of stuff and that it will get done and it won't all come crashing down. Right. Like living in the possibility instead of the fear.
Well, I mean, okay, so in the woo-woo way, what I feel like this week is that I get to live in that like manifestation place, right? And I know that is like a very I know how to do the things that need to be done, and I get excited about doing especially creative things. I get excited about doing new things where it's like, well, okay, we can, add on this, or we can study and research that, or we could figure out how to do A, B, or C. Like I get really excited about those things. But then when the dailiness comes in, those things seem very overwhelming and like I can't get to it. That's not like that's the stuff I want to do, but I have to do the things I have to do before I can get to the things I want to do. I feel like where we're going now is a place where I get to do the things that I want to do and let go of the things that I have to do. Right.
Well, I think where we're going
In
is the
quotes.
fact that the things that you want to do are the things that you have to do and only you
Right.
can do. And that goes for like every piece of the pie, right? But understanding the puzzle piece that you are.
Is it a pie or a puzzle?
I think it's a
Because
puzzle
you just
pie.
went from pie to puzzle.
You get my point though, right? You get my point?
I do.
Identifying, understanding, appreciating your puzzle piece and how it fits into the bigger picture is the
Now,
really
is it a
exciting
picture or a puzzle?
puzzle makes a picture. Let me think about it.
Let me think about it. Oh, well, she'll think about it. But I think I'm gonna think about it. I think that it's I don't know. Here's the I think takeaway for those of you guys that are listening and you're out there and you're looking for you're say an entrepreneur or you're
So
wanting
there's a
to
couple of
build
you
something
guys here.
bigger.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that I immediately I sent this to when I finished it, I sent it to my accountant and my attorney, two of my like closest friends from like, I don't know, 15, 16 years or something. Both entrepreneurs, both visionaries, but both without an integrator. And they've always like, and it was funny because when John left the other night, you were like, I love how every time you get together with Jeff or John, they sit down, they want your input on this
They're fellow
huge
visionaries.
thing that they're doing. And it's so interesting, this new business that they're creating. And it's so interesting because the one thing that I feel that they are both lacking is an integrator, is somebody to help them make this stuff happen. And in the past, for both of them, I have been a little bit of that. They have been like, Jay, can you come work for me? Because we want to do this. And I'm like, all right, let's do this. And I've been kind of their integrator, especially John.
Well, because many of your gifts, your strengths are in executing.
Right.
Right?
Oh my God.
Right.
Strengths assessment, Clifton Strengths Assessment.
Right.
And so now it's like, I feel like if you are a visionary and you're like an entrepreneur, you need to find your integrator. And this book, they don't know us from Adam. I don't even know when this was published. Oh yeah, 2016. But this book spells it out on how to find your integrator if you haven't already found your integrator. We continually say continually. Okay. I said it twice because I was like, it didn't sound right the first time, but it didn't sound right the second time either. Continually. Whatever. We are always saying just how blessed we are, that we don't even.
We're blessed individually.
Yes.
We're blessed by our team. We're blessed by our community. We're blessed by our parents. We're blessed by, there's so many
everything. We
blessings.
are just, and maybe it's that we count, like we step back and see these blessings, but I really feel like, I don't know. I really feel like sometimes we're just blessed more than anybody else in the world. Like we are just super, super lucky. Like God loves us. The universe loves us. Like what,
Blessed.
I don't know, but we've said this for 18 years now, that it's just like, how do we get to be so blessed?
I think it is. I think
it's to be so blessed.
I think it is the power of gratitude in so many ways, though. I think that who was it? Brene Brown. Do you remember Brene Brown was talking about what is the one thing that people who have found happiness all have in common? And it is gratitude. So no matter the path, and we were just talking, we've had a little emotional roller coaster today. One of our dear friends is going through a hard time, and it was like, wow, like we have, instead of like going to the dark side of an empathetic experience, we both went to gratitude.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. And I think that it's a muscle you have to exercise, because I don't think we've always done it.
We've
For the past 15 years, maybe 10 years, 11.
I don't know. When we first moved into Hilversum,
That was great. But then
it
we
was like
forgot.
an everyday thing.
Yeah.
We were like, how did we
But
get
we both
this
know we
blessed?
forgot for a while.
Yeah. So maybe it is something that needs to
So
be.
I think it is a muscle. like you have to exercise gratitude. I don't know. What I love is that how much we love continuing to learn together. Not just about, I loved our roundtable today. We learned some extra things today, just about natural flea and tick prevention. It's so exciting. It's so
It's
satisfying.
our passion project, and we get to learn new stuff about it.
Learn something new. And I love that when it comes to business development, we get to learn. Oh my God, back to the learning. I love learning about stuff. I love it.
So guys, if you are a visionary or you're an integrator looking
Or if you
for a
don't know
visionary,
which one you are,
or if you don't know which one you are,
read
pick
the
up the
book.
book Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman and Mark C. Winters. It's a fabulous book, and
it's Rocket Fuel.
It's Rocket Fuel, guys. It's Rocket Fuel. So we're so excited that you guys joined us today.
Thanks for chit-chatting with us.
Yeah, to help us work through that and talk a little bit more. Now we're just going to go and talk about how grateful we are. So thanks, guys, so much for joining us for episode number 115 of Back in the Closet. We will see you guys back next week.
Oh my God, in May. Hope you enjoyed your April. We'll see you next